Okay. Yo. Oh my, did you see that sniper? Oh my god, why didn't you headshot? Fuck. Yo, chat, yeah, dude, even let them. Oh man, this guy on. How would look actually? No, killing.
We all love to look back on the history. We all love to look back on the history of the PlayStation console with rose-colored glasses, but boy have we been through some major ups and downs with Sony over the years. Remember the ill-conceived concept of the boomerang controller? Yeah, that would have been a disaster. So as we all get hyped up for the game-changing release of the PS5, let's go through a little reality check as we take a stroll down memory lane and cover everything you need to know about the journey we've been on from the PS1 all the way to the PS5. Ah, there's nothing like the original. The one that started it all. The PlayStation Classic. Oh, wow. No, not the recently released PlayStation Classic console with bundled games. That was a huge disappointment. We're talking about the top-loading solid gray PS1 and its little teeny brother, the PS1 Slim. The original PlayStation was a game-changer for the industry and sparked a console war, not because of gamers choosing sides, but because of the gaming companies themselves. In the early 1990s, Nintendo and Sega were in such a heated gaming battle that no one would have conceived Mario and Sonic doing friendly Olympic challenges together years later. The Plumber and the Speedster simply hated each other, and their parent companies were out to defeat the competition. And this is where Sony's 4 input buttons with shapes different DS consoles, which have current crop of gamers. Unfortunately, they thought they could do that with the boomerang controller. Yikes. Sony managed to create something uglier than the N64 controller, something that looked more uncomfortable than the Nintendo Power Glove.
Okay, so our last PS5 video was quite a special one because you see, we got our hands on the world's first actual photo of the PlayStation 5 Developers Kit. Our video actually got picked up by quite a lot of tech websites, which never really happened before, at least not to this scale, so yeah, thank you all for the support and for sticking around for so many years. We've also hit 900,000 subscribers in the meantime, by the way, so yeah, huge thank you to every single one of you. And we're also giving away, by the way, an equipment by just doing the tutorials and the controller itself. And personally, I've always preferred a gaming controller to a mouse and a keyboard. Yes, a mouse is more accurate, but a controller is much more comfortable, and you get motion controls, you get vibrations and even touch inputs, all of which immerse you so much more in the game than a regular mouse and keyboard can. Now, the first PS1 controller, the original DualShock, was one of the most iconic controllers ever to be released. It had vibration feedback, which back in 1997 was a huge deal. It had dual joysticks and symmetrical buttons, which I've always preferred. Then the DualShock 2, which was released with the PlayStation 2 back in 2000, wasn't really that big of an upgrade. You see, it had pretty much the same style design, just a bit slimmer, a bit lighter, and came in black. But all the main buttons were actually pressure sensitive now, so that was basically the biggest change. So the more you press the triggers, for example, the faster your car would start driving and things like that. Then came the DualShock 3 with the PlayStation 3, and the DualShock 3 was the first big change in the Sony controller. It was Sony's first fully wireless controller. It featured 6-axis motion sensing, so basically a gyroscope that could sense the direction and the orientation that you held the controller at. And you could play certain games that way, and even use the controller itself as a racing wheel, so yeah, really cool stuff. And it also featured a mini USB port for charging and connecting it to other devices, such as a PSP, a PlayStation Portable, or even a full PC by using some third-party apps. And then, in 2013, when the PlayStation 4 was released, we got an even bigger update to Sony's line of game controllers, and that was the DualShock 4. Not only did the DualShock 4 feature the first big design change in the Sony controller, but it also came with a ton of major features. The start and select buttons were replaced with options and share. We also got a built-in speaker for some sound effects that your controller would actually play when, let's say, you were reloading or firing a gun. That was pretty cool. And then we also got an actual touchpad on the controller itself, which would not only be used in games, but also in a web browser as a mouse. And it was also its own pressable button, by the way. We got redesigned joysticks that were now concave rather than convex. It came with a massive light bar on the back for not only giving you a visual feedback of what was happening in your game. For example, if the light turned red, then that meant that your health was critical. But that light was also used that the 3.5mm headphone jack and the proprietary connector, or at least a USB Type-C port, they do seem to be located on the bottom of the controller, just like on the PS4 one. Okay, now let's talk about the two elephants in the room. The display and the shape of the controller. An elephant. So, yeah, when it comes to the shape, yes, it does look to be extremely uncomfortable, judging by how the bottom bit is a bit lower than the top portion. So, I don't know, it's one of those things where I would need to hold this in my hand to see for myself how comfortable or uncomfortable it really is. But something that you should keep in mind, or and even the light bar, even though it did look more squared off in the dev kit model. Now, we actually made our own PS5 controller 3D model as a merge between the PS4 controller and the PS5 dev kit controller. So we still have the overall same PS4 controller design, just with slightly longer handles. We do have the built-in, so you'll be able to feel not just vibrations, but also certain elements of the actual game. So Beer was saying how he played a platformer, and he
streaming. I saw it. Is that the name? How I did? I can't tell you. It's dynamic speaker. No. No. Yeah. Yeah. No. I really know. You should be here. Miles. See? Miles. Miles.
Yo, yo.
No one watches live though.
Somebody is, look. Duh.
That's you.
Shall I write something rude?
Look, you just went off.
Shall I fuck you?
I would never play with you. Even though if you were my brother. Yeah, fuck that.
What's mine, man?
Alright. Well, why does no one watch them?
It is, look. Did Alex so much watch him? Did Alex so much watch him? No. So.
All you want to do is part of it.
Supposed. You know, chat, fuck off.